Okay, okay. Got it. Got it. Okay, I am here. Okay, you guys can see me. I'm assuming backstage. ठीक है.
Hi, Praful.
Hi. आप कहाँ ऑफिस में हो?
Ground floor.
ग्राउंड फ्लोर. ओके, कूल. ठीक है. I think there's still a little bit of time.
Yeah. How's the event coming along today?
Good. Yeah, I think good. Yeah, Muskan and all will tell us more, but I'm guessing I think we have decent audience and interactions going on. Yeah.
Say,
Yeah. Yeah, Muskan. Hi, Rahul. How are you?
Hey, hi, Praful. Good. How are you?
Good, good, doing well. Thanks for joining in. We'll just give folks. I think there's still a bit of time for the panel to start. Although we are streaming live already, so I think we'll just wait for some of the other folks to join and then take it from there. Hi, Vandana. How are you?
Hi, Praful. Good. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for joining, Vandana.
Thank you.
We'll just give folks another few minutes, Vandana, before the actual slot starts.
Yeah.
Although we are already streaming live on YouTube for this session, so we'll just wait for the others to come on board.
Sure.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Jayant. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, Praful.
Hi, Pankaj. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, hi, Praful.
Hi, hi. Thanks so much, guys, for joining. We'll be starting the slot soon. Although I just want to call out that we are already streaming live on YouTube, so we'll just wait for a few more minutes for folks to join, and then kickstart with the scheduled time. Hi, Shweta. How are you?
Hi, Praful. Hi, everyone. My apologies.
No worries at all. We're still on time, Shweta. We still have the scheduled slot will start in around 6 minutes.
Okay,
We're just
perfect.
waiting for others to join, and I think fantastic and a very diverse panel I've already seen. And I'm assuming not everyone knows each other, and maybe I'll just take the liberty of going around the room so that at least there's familiarity when before we jump onto the discussion. So Rahul and I have worked actually very closely at OLX. Rahul heads all of technology for global OLX emerging markets. Welcome, Rahul. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Umair is the founder and CEO of Wixo, marketing automation tool organization that's been doing really well in the market. A partner company now as well, and they've built something which is very specific to e-commerce. Welcome, Umair.
Thanks, Praful. Hi, everyone.
Vandana heads Sezzle, so they're doing a lot of disruption in the buy now pay later market in India, and she heads India business here. Welcome, Vandana.
Thank you, Praful. Hi, everyone.
Uh, Jayant is a very key customer and a good friend, leading technology and product for Mama Earth, doing was one of the poster childs for the D2C business in India. Welcome, Jayant. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you for inviting.
Pankaj is the VP of Engineering at Razorpay, and they've been key cog in the ecosystem of making sure e-commerce can become seamless across the ecosystem. Welcome, Pankaj. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks, Praful, for having me.
Shweta, again, we've been partnering a lot with Meta and Facebook, and Shweta heads the commerce part of a lot of the initiatives that happen in India. Welcome, Shweta. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
And Ayappa is from your story, and I think at the center of a lot of the action that happens across the startup ecosystem. Thank you so much, Ayappa, for joining and taking the time.
Thanks, Praful. Great to be here.
Great. I think we have a full house. I think we'll just wait for the teams go ahead to kickstart the discussion, and as soon as they make us live. Yes.
Is everybody is in Bangalore or people joining outside Bangalore as well? This panel?
I'm based out of Bangalore.
Yeah, I'm based out of Bangalore too.
Same here.
And I think me and Shweta from Delhi only. I'm Delhi.
I think Jayant and Umair will probably also be from the NCR region.
Yeah. I'm based out of Gurgaon. Yes.
Gurgaon. Okay, nice.
Okay, nice.
I wanted to say the startup and tech capital, but I said no, Gurgaon is better. I don't want to start that conversation.
Maybe one of the topics for us to discuss today, but I'm definitely considering the 45 minutes then.
He'll consume all of it.
Is most of the organizations still work from home, or has staggered going back to work started for any of you guys?
It's optional, and people can report to office if they wish to, or most of them are working from home, so we are in office, couple of people.
Understood.
Yeah.
We have a roster, but I think tech people have more flexibility. So
Sure.
yeah.
It's the same thing for us as well. I think it's a mix of office and home
Yeah.
based on requirements. I think we've all learned in this pandemic that a lot of work gets done from home, so it works either way.
Sure.
Yeah, our offices are also opening. I'm just thinking, how do I brace Bangalore traffic after this 2 year hiatus? It is going to not be easy.
Probably it will just pick up, and right now traffic is less, I would say.
Yeah, for us also, most of the business folks are back. Tech is still fully remote at the moment.
Okay. I think the privileged bunch, possibly.
Hopefully, we'll be soon back.
Sure, sure.
Hope we are not live when you're saying that.
No, when I say back, I don't know. It's definitely uh, can't be the pre-pandemic days. I think we have to be some different shape and form. So,
Yeah, yeah. Everyone, I know it's a full house, and we'll send some questions across. We'll try and direct the conversation, try and cover. But please, I will try and point to specific people. But please feel free to jump in. Want to keep this as much of a group discussion as possible.
Sure.
Okay. Let me just see if we can kick this off. Getting a go ahead from the team. Okay, great, guys. Right on time. I'll kick the discussion off. Thank you, everyone, for joining this very interesting panel. Technology and innovation being at the center of all that is happening in the e-commerce space, and how that's becoming the driving backbone of all great experiences that are getting built across. An extremely diverse panel, which is very, very interesting because we'll get but multiple views, starting from Jayant, who heads technology and product for Mama, the key D2C brand in the Indian ecosystem. Rahul, who's looking after OLX Autos technology globally, extremely interesting organizations that's trying to disrupt how cars are bought and sold in emerging markets. Umair from Wixo doing a lot of in-depth work on marketing automation, retargeting, specifically in the e-commerce ecosystem in India and globally. Ayappa, who's at probably the center of all the stories that happen from your story across the startup ecosystem, and a lot of information to share. Shweta from Meta, leading a lot of the commerce activities in India for Meta, and being a driving force in making sure SMBs can scale their businesses. Pankaj from Razorpay, who is making sure payment systems are becoming much easier, and as well as Vandana from Sezzle, who are making sure that consumer and seller experiences are getting better. Thank you so much, guys, for joining this discussion. Pleasure to have this panel on board. I will get right into it and start the discussion with the first question, and we can take it from there. So the first question is really about, at a very high level, how is new age technology infrastructure and solution helping brands make the journey of becoming digital first seamless, and also helping bridging the gap between products and customers? And maybe I will start that off by pointing the first question towards Rahul there. And Rahul has been in a very interesting phase where OLX, which was earlier a more horizontal brand, is starting to make a brand presence and also disrupt the car market by making the journey more and more digital first. Maybe Rahul, you can share your view, and then we can jump to the others.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Pretty interesting question, and probably very important in our current scenarios as well, where pandemic has pushed all of us towards having a higher technology and product adoption. And probably we have, like, there is a term now, tech acceleration, that's going on. So tech acceleration is probably a term that people have started using. To your question, I think nowadays there are things that are happening around different verticals, be it cloud, be it experience side of it, or maybe, let's say, even on the hardware side of the last few years. The whole platform and technology structure space has already given us a way where hardware, software, and people, all three are connected now. with each other. There are IoT sensors, there are drones which are actually connecting people now, and then there are AI ML sort of applications which are optimizing the things around efficiency or even around revenue optimizations, and then there are things around social commerce sort of platforms that helps now in handling different sort of things more around the virtual part of it. So in my mind, I think there are three categories to answer this. One, there are things which are related to uh, content or content related stuff, where I think applications like YouTube or platform like YouTube, Insta, and all are coming into picture, and that gives us a massive opportunity to connect the end customer with the virtual or real products. Then there is another category in my mind which is related to experience and probably meta or maybe or AR VR sort of categories are coming into picture, where with the different sort of experience, different sort of content availability, we can still create a picture where we can give a real life experience to test the product again to the customer. And then third is more around network, where with the help of distribution network, like for example Meesho, right now they have built a massive network of different setup. Having said that, all of three are backed up by low cost technology, highly connected systems to each other, which helps us in faster decision making and maybe faster and better experience. But probably that's my answer.
Thanks. So very, very interesting, Rahul. And I think the connecting the physical world and the digital world, specifically in the ecosystem of products and services, is super key. And Jayant, maybe you being at the center of selling something which is very, very physical and making sure that the digital experience there or the connect with the customer does not get lost at any point in the journey. How do you think technology as the backbone has helped in shaping some of those experiences and making your journey more and more digital first?
I mean, I'll talk about how this I've been seeing, right? I mean, I have a 8-step interaction process that a particular brand or an organization goes with their customers, right? And that engagement typically, because technology is is so pervasive in that sense that it's available both at offline, online, in hybrid models, that it enables you to have a touch point. Now, it's important for the organizations and brands to identify what part's important, because again, how I see it, if the brand can converse with the customer at any level, at any stage, that's the first step. And typically, what happens is, if you forget about just acquiring the customer or selling them, it's about getting that connect at every point that the customer might be. Because unfortunately, the pervasive technology has also made it a little hard for us to figure out what's right. And typically, when you start one step, you realize maybe this is not the right step right now, right? I mean, so it's important that you're able to prioritize it at every step, have the conversation. And technology has really helped in that sense. From a D2C perspective, for example, how we charting out our product consumer experience is to ensure that at different stages of the life cycle, we have conversations possible. And from there, build on our product, and then whether it's chatbots to automate it, whether it's, IVR, unfortunately, in India is still a number-driven, conversation-driven model. Having worked in Zomato and Policy Bazaar, for example, where it's a marketplace, unfortunately, and here I'm a brand. But what's always worked is any brand who can manage all. It can't just be one. Like I think Varun said 3-4 weeks back, that direct to consumer is just a word people use, right? I mean, it's not really direct to consumer. It's finally the consumer, right? And it could be anywhere. Right? You have no reason to say why you cannot go offline or can't be on the phone or on WhatsApp, right? But what's the right thing to pick? And technology has really helped in that case. I think one thing which gets missed 15 years back, integration was a word I dreaded. Right. I mean, telco systems, be it OSS, BSS, right? Be it people talk about REST APIs. What does it mean, right? I mean, it's finally integration is a critical part of all technology. Whether you want to use it or not, there's no plug and play, unfortunately, right? I mean, and that's an important aspect that we try to carve in. That how can we quickly identify what's important? Shiprocket is really relevant for us from a last mile delivery perspective, right? So I'll integrate that, right, rather build it. And the formula that we use in house is that it's a 3+1, 3 month plus 1 month, because I'm not going to do it today. So if it takes me 4 months to build it, I would rather integrate and use it, which is available. And again, I think that's why we're a little off track on that, but I think technology is fairly complex, but also it's easy to pick up, but you take the right call. And that's why it's important. And I think at Mammoth, we've been fortunate enough to have taken the right calls with picking up the right stack and not being in a hurry to do something, right? I mean, I think that's one thing we try not to do, but that's a disclaimer here. But I think customer experience with conversations is what we try to build on using technology.
Got it. Great. And Umair, like I think you are powering some of the most important touch points with what Jayant was saying, whether it's terms of the journey or the channels, and how to make sure that you're capturing the customer at the right point in time. How do you think this evolution of using technology more and more effectively to bridge this gap, and also like be careful of not doing it too much, like Jayant was saying? How do you
Yeah.
think this is shaping up?
So I think we've been at this at the in the heart of it since the beginning of our journey as a company and a product. We've been at the heart of making sure that technology is used. And I'll tell you, 5-6 years back, it was very different conversation to what we are having today. For example, right? Brands were still talking about digital transformation. They were still talking about how legacy systems can play a part in enabling. I think obviously pandemic also accelerated the need for adoption over the last couple of years. But what we are seeing is I have never seen these numbers. Frankly, these numbers are unprecedented today. That we're seeing the adoption that has happened. Not just from a brand perspective, but also from a consumer perspective. So it now is imperative that a brand, if and I'll take some examples of as well. Some brands, like traditionally we have seen them do really well in offline, are now heavily pivoting and adopting technology at a pace that I have never seen. Right? Someone like, for example, it's my favorite example to take. Probably I think the brand should start paying me as an influencer, but it's my favorite example to take. It's a brand called Libas. It's in women's clothing. And the way they have adopted technology over the last couple of years and accelerated to about 100 crore plus sale in a month across all digital channels is absolutely phenomenal, right? And I think they did it in the right fashion. They didn't do too much. What they allowed us to do is obviously plug into their e-commerce and their digital channel perspective, and kind of allowed the product to have its own, their digital presence to have its own kind of. But also from a retail perspective, they didn't do too much. They were like, we don't want to go overboard with what we have. Just integrate. And Jayant made this point. Integration was a point was used to be dreaded, but today it has become much smoother, much faster. I think even with legacy systems, people understand, and I think that's why building solutions for this particular industry has been easier over the last 3-4 years. But so I feel that technology is a massive enabler. It's up to the brands to choose how they want to use it. And the adoption is going to go even faster. I think we've accelerated. The pandemic has kind of accelerated the whole thing by a decade, if not more. And from our perspective, we are sitting here, we are talking to direct to consumer brands, but we're also talking to some very traditional retail brands with store heavy presence, and now they're looking to adopt technologies not for just for their direct to consumer channel, but they want to know what else can be done. And I think this is a great conversation from technology perspective. What else can we do? How can I improve user experience? How can I build better connection with my users? WhatsApp, for example, is a massive channel that we are seeing a huge uptake on Wixo. People are using WhatsApp in various different ways, right? From solving repeat purchase inside Wixo, to transactions now happening directly on WhatsApp from a repeat perspective, right? Something like a cosmetics is a great category to build repeat buying, and we've built that entire journey. So brands are coming to us and asking, what else can we do? What else is new, and how can we talk to our consumers better? And I think that's a great place to start from a technology perspective. Those are my 2 cents, obviously.
Thanks, Umair. And I'm going to direct the next question, starting with Shweta, and then go to the others. And I think, Shweta, you're the middle of social commerce, and in this age of social commerce, how important is it to leverage technology, payment, supply chain innovation for operational excellence, and to also build a strong relationship with the end customers? And what are you seeing interesting happening on the ground there?
Sure. So actually, there is a lot happening on social in India right now. And really, how I see social is a discovery layer, right? So social is enabling customers to find brands or products, and then brands to find customers, right? So we see a surface like Instagram, where primarily categories such as lifestyle, right? Brands and sellers in lifestyle categories are creating visual content, video content to connect with their customers. I know that there was a lot of talk about WhatsApp here, that a lot of brands are leveraging WhatsApp to really engage their customers in meaningful conversations, right? So while social is driving discovery and conversations and connecting products and people or brands and people, right? A backend or digital commerce layer to support this discovery and engagement is really, really critical, right? For any brand that wants to leverage social to drive outcomes, business outcomes. So I feel that today, and I think everyone already talked about it, right? With such best-in-class commerce ecosystem that is available to brands in India today, right? You don't need to really invest in technical expertise to build a website, right? So it has reduced time to market, it has reduced time to online and the cost, right? So that end-to-end seamless journey that starts probably from social or conversations, and then moves on to a robust and optimized, well-designed website, seamless payments, then fast, reliable logistics, probably automated chatbots, right, where you're supporting your customer. That is really key to driving business outcomes and forging strong relationship with your customers, I believe.
No, thanks, Shweta. And you mentioned payments, and I think that's a key part of this journey. And maybe with Vandana and Pankaj, we can get some views as well, specifically on how to make that aspect scale, also make it a trustworthy ecosystem. Because in that ecosystem is only when better consumer experiences as well as sustainable businesses from sellers can thrive. Vandana, maybe we can start with you and then go to Pankaj just to share your thoughts on how in the payments ecosystems this is shaping along.
Yeah, sure. Technology specifically, I think when it comes to payments, right? So initial days, the payment comes at the end. Right now, the payments is also becoming at the beginning of the journey and making the entire experience seamless. And the BNPL or any kind of express checkout kind of payments is making sure the conversion is happening because of the reduced number of steps. I think that is becoming crucial for right now, because customer wants to do everything quick and instantaneously, and as well as seamless experience is the crucial thing in entire thing. I think out of all these things, seeing the technology through consumer eyes is really becoming crucial right now, rather than choosing and picking up every technology which is available, and what is that consumer wants, and how can you see that in the consumer eyes is really crucial.
Thanks, Vandana. Pankaj?
Yeah, just adding to Vandana, right? I mean, if you step back and if you look at direct to consumer model businesses, right? I think there are two key factors which defines the success of this model end to end, right? You want to have a brand awareness, and you also want to provide a seamless shopping experience end to end, right? And payment is a critical part of this workflow. End of the day, payment need to be invisible, right? I mean, nobody wants to go through the complexity of payment, and it need to just happen as part of the experience. It need to be as frictionless as possible, right? So when we actually talk about providing a great customer experience as part of e-com flows, it becomes very critical that the whole operational efficiency across different flows kind of come across, um, because this is about kind of end of the day creating value for consumers, right? Because the greater experience kind of leads to repeat customers and kind of adds to your business growth as well, right? And at any point of the flow, because if you look at it, it takes a lot of effort to bring consumer to a point when he's ready to pay, right?
Yeah.
And you want minimal friction at that point. That's the last thing you want as a business, for consumer to walk away from that point. So it becomes so much critical at that point that it does not matter that what options you're providing at that point. You want that order to convert, right?
Absolutely.
So I think this is where from a payment solution provider perspective, it becomes very critical that you're providing as many options as possible in a simplistic manner, You give absolutely no reason for consumer to walk away when he's ready to pay. So
Praful, if I may just add, sorry,
Absolutely. Please go
yeah,
ahead.
on the one thing, like I think they got to the perspective of the payments, and Shweta is the right person about the social angle that's happening with this ecosystem. But I remember that. So just a background, I used to be a D2C founder myself, but I remember the importance of that 1 day delivery and the 2 day delivery and that customer gratification. Amazon Prime just changed it. Suddenly, everybody wants the next day delivery, and that kind of customer experience and the customer delight that you get at the physical product and getting what you want. I think tech has just changed that completely. At the previous session, they spoke about quick commerce and how Zepto and all that. That's a very different game today, and I think that is a very, very different thing that tech has enabled. And customer delight and experience, and like Pankaj rightly said, it playing in the background, not very intrusive, but how it actually leads to a lot of customer delight. I think is something we've seen a lot of changes in the last 4 or 5 years. I think is what I think going to bring in the customer delight angle.
Absolutely. No.
Every touch point, if we can delight our customers through technology, that is what we should look for.
Yeah, and I agree. Consumer expectations are changing so fast, and we keep on having this debate internally as well. Who was thinking of same day and next day delivery as a given? Now we are down to 10 minutes, and somebody trying to reduce it to 5 minutes as well, and the instant gratification. Like, where does this really end? And I think a lot of technology is the only backbone that can really power this seamlessly, right? Else it will never be sustainable. Go ahead, Rahul.
Yeah, I think there's one more point that I was very eager to add. I think we are talking about social commerce, and in that, the most important point, at least for me, is to give our customers a real sense that they are buying through a community or through some connections. That's the biggest difference between social commerce and e-commerce, right? And that's a point where it has also created a new ways of buying selling via influencers or via digital content creation, or and there are existing platforms. So I think, to build on top of what other panelists are also saying, there are massive amount of platforms that are already available, which has big access to end customers. The big key, at least, to success here is to build that bridge of trust gap, because me as an individual customer will always have high probability to buy something if my network, my family, friends, and all, they are buying it, because
Yeah.
that gives me an instant trust factor. So if, as a brand, we try and get into more building that trust via better probably reaching out to different customers, and in my mind, if I have to talk about single technology, personalization and recommendation will become a very important part in this overall aspect, because we really have to target a right customer at right point in time. Definitely all the touch points should be there, but touching them at the right point, and giving them that ping that, hey, your friend has also bought this jacket, or maybe they have bought some specific product and they are liking it based on, let's say, different recommendations or via different reviews.
Sure.
That can be something that's a massive opportunity that's available via existing platforms.
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to add to what Rahul just said, right? Completely agree with that. I think what we are seeing today is that instead of people finding products, right, products are finding people, right? So it has become more inspiration, especially in certain categories, maybe grocery and some fast moving daily use categories may or may not be in that bucket, but especially in lifestyle categories, right? You are spending so much time consuming content, all right, engaging, to your point, with creators, understanding how to apply makeup, how to dress in a certain way, right? And if those mediums, through creators, through content, can become a discovery platform where get inspired and then discover product, find brands, forge that relationship, I think that's where really we are seeing, especially from a lifestyle perspective, things are moving.
Yeah. And just to add, right, I mean, just extending the definition of product there, because, during recommendation, today people don't look at product, just the physical aspect of the product, right? It is the entire experience of buying the product. So I think this is where, there's a lot of pressure on businesses to maintain that experiences, right? Because, someone really got delighted through the experience of buying that product, that, you ordered something and that you got it, like, 5 hours later on your doorstep, right? I think that experience need to be replicated, right? Because when you're recommending something, you're not just recommending the product, you're also recommending the experience around that.
No, I heard personalization and recommendation a couple of times, and I think that was straight good segue into my next question. And maybe Ayappa, I'll direct that to you to start with, because you're probably at the center of hearing a lot of these stories happen across the startup ecosystem. And while it's an overused buzzword, like what role is artificial intelligence really playing in shaping some of this, the future of e-commerce? And are there any specific examples or initiatives that you can talk about that you see companies leveraging really, really well to bring about the personalized as well as the relatable experience when this e-commerce journey is coming along for the consumer?
Definitely. And I think I can see Umair smiling. I think Umair will be the right person to go into a lot of this in detail into what, they're doing at Bigzo and, the beautiful systems they've built there. But from a story perspective and what brands are doing, it's extremely interesting. It's changed. I think I want to go back a few years to where Myntra started the try and buy philosophy, right? Where they tried to ship products and people experience it. I do remember there was a model where they try to artificially create your thing on the platform and you could try on the clothes on the platform. I don't know how long that lasted, but they were experimenting along those lines where you create a model of yourself on the platform and you can try out the clothes on the platform. And so for the last few years, people have been trying to crack it. Like I said, Umair and Bigzo and all have already cracked a lot of it on the consumer journey, how to make it simpler. Lenskart, I do remember, had this thing about how you put your face and how the glasses do look on you, right? So there's a lot of innovation happening on that front. Obviously, where we are in the stories that we do here, not only in AI ML, but in the entire tech ecosystem, of all the issues that Shopify and everyone else have had in the West, there are Indian counterparts making similar systems, catering specifically for the Indian audience. I know I'm digressing a bit from the AI ML part, but in the tech ecosystem in general, there's so much innovation happening. And like everyone said, I think the pandemic has accelerated all of that. People want to, e-commerce has become convenience. E-commerce and social commerce is convenience, where as less as possible, they want to go to stores, as much as possible, buy straight from your systems. And I think there are a lot of people in this space. And I think, I don't want to go too much into it because I do not have the technical expertise on it. I think Umair would be the right person. But I think this is what we are noticing. And we're seeing, I do believe there'll be a lot of enablers, is what we call them in the ecosystem, who will be enabling D2C brands to make this shopping experience much better.
And Jayant, if I may just touch upon the same point with you, like from the journey of really figuring out what product is needed in the market to getting it delivered in under 30 minutes, hopefully soon, where does data and AI help across the journey with a brand like Mama Earth?
Yeah, I think somebody has written that long time back that data is a new oil, and I said yes, it's the crude oil. I mean, it will kill you if you have too much of it, right? I mean, because that's what people struggle. They collect a lot of data, but they can't use it, right? And I think that's where you require, of course, cleansing the data, and finally having the right data and confidence level in that. And I think that's where you can't put human efforts on it, and that I think that's where we are trying to leverage artificial intelligence to that. That's the first one part where we're trying to do that, right? Of how do we validate, triangulate the data from an intelligence perspective, because a lot of it is not direct factual data, right? It has to be validated with models. So that's one place. And then how do we enhance the consumer experience around it? And like anybody said, right? I mean, what is AI? Another joke, right? I mean, an AI bot walks into a bar and says, and the bartender says, "What do you have?" They say, "You know what? Whatever everybody's having," right? So it's basically what you feed in is what you get out from there, right? From the experience that you on your platform. So is it an if and else model? What is it, right? It's okay. It's okay to say, yes, I have an if and else based model. That's the first step you can take, right? I mean, where you say you want to remove, you want to automate all that thing, right? And of course, and then you build on improving it. And then you can bring in random forest or statistical inferences based models to build that, right? It could be any of those, whether it's statistical or whether it's AML, right? I mean, people can contest, but it's finally about automating it. So I wouldn't ever use the word artificial intelligence because it's possible you're not using an AI model, something else, right? A statistical model. So I think it's very critical because at least from a personalization perspective, what is personalization replacing offline experience? I know you, hey Praful, how are you? You know what? Mera order mein aaya nahi hai. You know, and you know what went wrong, right? So that experience is super critical because of like we said, right? Now people don't go looking for what to buy. They have a huge backlog, technology balance. They have a huge backlog. They don't know what they have to buy, what is important, and they're reminded by it time on again, right? And whoever is able to remind them better is able to get the customer, right? I think that's where, and that's a daily process for every customer. Now you can't build system to do that. I mean, and this is where building models around that helps. In personalization, what we're doing here is It's very simple. I think the marketing balance, it's mainly a feed. Everything's a feed. What we show to the consumer, what we filter out, all that's based on models that we try and build on various parameters which go in. That's the first step. This year is all about that only, of being able to create custom feeds for custom widgets, and we show what the customer is trying to look for and try and get to. That's this year's a plan for us, and that's why AIML is critical, because you finally need to re-rank them, build in propensity models to identify what will sell, what will not sell, based on historical data as well as seasonality, future data. So that's what we're working on. I think it's very critical to at least start working on it. And whether it's AIML or it's an if and else model, doesn't even matter. You just start. You just start. The second part where we're doing, I think, Pankaj, and even at Shiprocket, not only is we're working on it, it's frauds. No matter what you do, how do you mitigate that? And to again summarize what the previous questions, how do you decide? There's a yin and yang in technology, right? And customer base. You can't go for everybody. So this is one mistake every brand makes. They go for everything, all customers. The TAM is everything, right? I mean, no, you need to know whether it's a tech savvy customer base is a bigger base for you, or is a 35-year-old and above who's not really that doesn't want to use technology that well, right? Maybe my parents, right? So which customer base you want to go, and then you decide whether offline is a better experience or D2C, right? And I think the same thing happens here from that model, right? It's very important you identify whether you really want to bring it now or not. And this is where I think AIML also, you decide whether it's the right time for you to do it right now or not, right? So I think hybrid model, again, previous example, Policy Bazaar versus CoverFox. Policy Bazaar knew that we are a human-led model. Insurance sells, all this sells via confidence, trust building. So you start from the human side and then build technology. CoverFox said technology, and then they realized, oh, you know what, we need both anyways, right? And they realized that the bigger problem was the consumer, the human-led selling, right? So you have to be very clear of what your strategy is. Otherwise, technology will lead your decision making, and it will not marry with your roadmap and your plan and strategy. So you have to be very careful with that. And I think you can build an AI model to decide for yourself also, for all the decision making also, right? So I think, yeah.
Just to add, in a consumer perspective, as a consumer, how technology can help me is with lesser number of products more relevant to me. So that is where my decision making would become easier, and people are preferring D2C brands over the platforms is majorly because of that less number of options, and I can choose easily.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I think Jayant and Vandana on and this is going to be my next question as well, and I'll leave this open to the panel to share views. Is that there are risks that D2C brands probably face in the over adoption of technology and over reliance of technology as well in the future, especially to what Jayant was saying around how do you appeal to customers' emotions, very much so, which is easier done when you're doing it offline. How do you guys think this will be, will technology will be able to solve some of this in the future? And I'm being very, very careful. I'm not using the word metaphors here at all.
Thank you. So actually, I can maybe start, right? I feel that instead of thinking about, overuse of technology or risk related to technology from a D2C brand perspective, I would, and I think some of the panelists already talked about it, right? What technology and some of the innovations that we are seeing is doing is merging offline and online, right? So it's really providing D2C brands a way to engage with their customers, right, in a much deeper way. Where, for example, AR try-ons, right? You can allow your customers to try on a product digitally without going into stores, right? Through QR code based conversation, you can actually start a conversation offline and then engage with the customer in a meaningful way digitally. So I feel that for a lot of these innovations, technology is actually an enabler, and that's how I see it. A lot of these is enablement that is allowing D2C to really engage with their customer more deeply.
If I have to pitch in again, I think you want to be solving the customer's problems and not your own tech problems, right? I mean, so that's very important. I mean, over adoption is what kills a lot of it. I mean, and your early decisions, and I always believe keeping it simple. Don't overcomplicate and change your customer. Your customer cannot be your dev or your product manager or your marketing heads, right? I mean, your customer is always a customer, so you always have to solve their problems. And not let technology tell you what problem to solve for them, right? I mean, so I think you cannot overcomplicate it. You cannot, and that's a big challenge.
That's a very valid point, Jayant. And as well as we need to understand what is the connect that customer has with our brand. So what is our brand value which is getting connected with our customer? That is where we have to enhance that value, and technology is just a tool for us to carry that in a right way to our consumer. So the brand value connect is very crucial to understand.
So I think if I may add to those points, how we looked at these technologies and how we simplified it for a lot of brands now. We this problem when we started writing our first recommendation algorithm back in 2016. The first problem was there are multiple stakeholders here that we're talking about, right? The first stakeholders are the consumers who are giving these data signals, whether shopping online or browsing something. That's a massive data set, clickstream data set that comes in, that becomes your basis of a AI, ML, like Jen mentioned, if even if it's a simple statistical algorithm, or it's a complex artificial intelligence model. But how we look at it is in a pyramid fashion. So that's the first thing that we saw, that the base layer of the pyramid is the data layer, right? The first, and that's how we categorize brands as well. And that's why I think that model will help a lot of brands adopt technology at the right time. So the first is data layer, where you're kind of syncing all of this data and you're breaking the silos, you're presenting all of this data into a massive data lake, right? Whether it's clickstream, transactional, product views, affinities, RTO intelligence, which Shiprocket is powering, and all of this data comes together in the base layer, right? The second is building cohorts on this, right? Based on marketing segments or logistics segments, based understanding these cohorts of customers, whether they are, these are my champion customers, these are my loyalists, these are my potential loyalists, these are hibernating, building those cohorts, right? Once you've done that, the second layer of this thing. The third layer is where you add these statistical modeling or machine learning algorithms. This is where our recommendation engines comes into play, right? If a brand doesn't have these first two layers, the third layer is bound to fail, right? And I think that's how we look at it when we say that brands are adopting. So they have to adopt at the right time. If a brand has these two layers set up, then we recommend saying that, hey, you know what, recommendation engine is the next step you should be doing. Going to consumers, telling them these are the recommendations, because now you have that data that your models will be close to what the customer actually wants to buy, right? We'll be predicting, we'll be recommending the right set of products. Vanda made that point that, you have to present the right product on the right channel at the right time, right? So for that to happen, and then the final layer is what we call the top of the pyramid, continuous optimization, right? So once you've built these three layers, then you keep on optimizing, you keep on tweaking a little bit of algorithm, the way data flows. So I feel India as a whole industry, direct to consumer, the base layer is pretty much sorted these days, thanks to solutions like Shopify, Magento, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, standardization of these platforms, and ability to connect to their retail CRMs, the likes of Capillary, and data being flowed into a single set of data lake, right? Then obviously adding that logistics, intelligence, RTO intelligence, how the consumers are behaving with the brand, plus the clickstream data, that the proprietary first party data that the consumer is giving signals to. And also I might add, now with the listening platform being added, so getting users what hashtags have they used, or what mentions on Instagram, because it's a big channel for brands. So combine all of that, build a solid unified data layer, and then build your recommendation on top of it. And I think that's if you do it in the right fashion, if you do it in a step-by-step manner, and when you see, oh, now I'm set here, and I think it won't it will never be a risk factor. It will always be supplementing your core business. And I think that's the right way. That's what we have also built, a 7-step process for brands to reach that pyramid level staying. So I think that's what we've.
And I want to just segue, like maybe point this to Rahul, because I think while the user is still the same who's using technology, whether it's being used to sell, buy a Mama Earth brand, or used to do a retargeting for any other product. And specifically in the car buying and selling ecosystem, where the ticket item is really really high and it's a very touch and feel experience, how you overusing technology or overestimating some of those things that technology can do, has there been such cases, and what have been the learnings from the autos journey that you have been on?
So I think I will just try and build on top of what Jayant and Umer just said. Uh, but I will slightly disagree as well on some of the points. One way to look into the whole perspective is that probably a few facts. There are a lot of platforms that are already available, right? Enormous, like a lot of platforms, be it Alexa to Meta to social commerce, different platforms and all. And hence your product and business strategy should help you to pick up right thing at right moment. In a hindsight, you can choose to continuously say that, hey, I will ignore because my strategy doesn't allow me to get into that. Then I don't know how much harm it will do to your strategy or not, but some other competitor will come and use the technology and may disrupt. So we cannot completely ignore. And sometimes we are saying that, hey, it's just enabler. In my mind, I think it can be more than enabler based on different business models and different business and product strategies as well. Another point to that is all of this can be a strong differentiator and entry barrier for your competitors as well, because data is actually something that takes time. It cannot be like that, hey, today now my strategy says that, hey, now I want to build data-led application. You don't have any foundational capability, like Umair just said. It takes time to build that sort of capability, and probably a roadmap view or maybe a view of at least 1 to 2 years where you start collecting the data, cleansing it, then start building some applications on top of it. And it can be an entry barrier against your competitor, because it cannot be solved via adding more and more people, because this will happen it'll take some time. Having said that, I think from an autos point of view, probably you and me, we both have worked on some similar sort of stuff. For example, in our world, we want to streamline the whole buying, selling sort of experience, and probably we both tried the self-inspection thing, right? Self-inspection as a capability where we are giving the power to our customer with the help of AI ML capabilities around computer vision, which helps them not only probably to inspect their car on their own. And for example, you just have to use the camera, and then probably the system will help you to identify that, hey, there is a dent or there is a scratch, or with that dent and scratch, and because of your IDV insurance values and all, now this is a price that you should get. That's a fair market price for you. And that builds more trust as well, because it's not like someone person is coming and telling you the price. It's a system which is not only giving you the price but also explaining you that. So deep use of vision-based technologies was something that probably we tried. But I think overuse of technology, I'll tell you one example, and again from my past experience, and again we shared that. I don't know the project, but at least the company Snapdeal, where I was personally involved in building the vernacular platform for the Snapdeal platform. Hey, we will launch in 12 different languages. We invested a lot of effort, and again, data science, NLP based algorithms, deep NLP, sentiment analysis to understand the content, and try and, because the content was coming in an English language and we need to translate it dynamically. Apple can be something different in grocery versus something different in brand, right? And we invested a lot of things. Probably one point that we missed was the adoption of technology in tier 2, tier 3 cities at that moment, and that was a pre-geo era. Adoption of the whole internet for smartphones was pretty low at that time, and we launched that thing. That was an overkill, because we wanted to enter into tier 2, tier 3 cities, but the baseline infrastructure was not there, and hence nothing like AI, ML, or any data science capability can help in that scenario.
Sure. No, thanks, Rahul, for sharing that. And I just want to wrap up this session by taking one line advice from all of you across the room. For SMBs, people who are starting on the digital first journey, any brands, whether D2C or not, what's your advice on how should they leverage technology or look at technology to gain competitive advantage and deliver a superb customer experience? Maybe we'll start with Vandana. Vandana, I think you're on mute.
Sorry for that. Yeah. So I think gaining trust is one of the most important thing. I think all of the brands should be focusing on. So because technology has opened up and given equal opportunity for every brand, be it small or big, to enter into this ecosystem. So the next step is gaining trust. I think focusing there and gaining trust is important part.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
where
you.
we have to be focusing on.
Thank you. Ayappa, maybe you can go next.
Yeah, brilliantly, exactly what Vandana said, and that's something we've also seen in the ecosystem. Technology has pretty much leveled the playing field. A lot of brands have this thing to come on the market wherever in India you're based out of, tier 1, 2, 3. Now it's all about building a brand, building a solid brand that people trust, and we have the tools, and there is tools in the market for that as well. But now it's all about brand building brand loyalty, and not just selling a product, but telling your brand story. I think that is a major focus area for brands moving forward, and that's something we get a lot of inquiries at your story on that part. So I think should be a major focus area that we see in D2C moving forward.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Shweta?
Sorry, I think I'll just speak to from a discovery perspective, right? So really understanding, and I'm stating the obvious here, understanding the customer's needs and meeting where they are, right? Whether it's creating the right content, connecting with the right influencers, use of videos or messaging. So really understanding what the needs are and then meeting them there.
Got it. Got it. Pankaj?
Yeah, my mantra is simple over there. I mean, besides kind of building a strong brand, what one nine Jen spoke about, I'll say, leverage technology to build frictionless experience end to end. I think that is going to be the key to delight customers over and over again.
Thanks, Pankaj. Jayant?
Yeah, what I try to evangelize here, and I can, अपने पैर पे कुल्हाड़ी मारता हूँ मैं. Sorry for the Hindi. Is the fact that I try and explain. So when Varun or we talk about what's happening, right? I try and explain that, and as a challenge for myself, that can I explain it to him in two sentences, right? So my take is technology isn't hard if you stop at the right level. So I think every brand or SMB should have somebody who is wearing the technology hat, and that person can be a non-techie completely, but is a problem solver. First, get that thing out that technology is hard or I can't do it, right? I mean, get that out of the system, and then just wear it and figure out how you solve the problem with what technology. You'll find the right person to take those calls. I think it's not hard. Please use it, and you don't need to depend on a CTO or somebody else. You just need to get a hat, decide technology there, and put it on somebody's head, right? And take those calls. I mean, and you learn along the way. I think that's what my advice would be to them.
Sure, thanks. And Umair, just to wrap up with you.
So I think everything has already been spoken. In one line, if I have to say, building on everyone, is that, and all the D2C brands listening and who will listen to this in the future, you focus on building the brand and telling a story. Let us focus on building the technology for you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Umair. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It's been a great discussion. Pleasure hosting you. Look forward to having you for our next event as well.
Thanks. Thanks, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.